The most anticipated time of the year finally came after what was deemed to be the longest drought of no new Pokemon news in a long time. Nothing but pure rumors and speculations coming from thin air, which arguably came to a point where we saw a new side of this community desperately trying to put anything that they could out there. It was pretty weird to see this, as I noticed that the leaks in general just for this year regarding official information died down a lot, at least from my perspective. It wasn't only an hour before I believe that everything got leaked when the presentation was shown. Luckily, I didn't see them. But besides all of that, I'm very happy with the way they handled sharing the news this year. You'd think after a year they'd drop so much information, but in the grand scheme of things, we really didn't get much at all, and that is a good thing, and I wanted to start with this. A new console announcement didn't exactly mean that Legend ZA would be dedicated exclusively to the new system. From a marketing perspective, there are over 100 million users with the first Switch console that it wouldn't make much sense to rush sales and have Pokemon be behind a hefty price of a paywall to rack up those numbers. From my point of view, this is the last mainline series title to conclude the end of this old Switch era, and what they would reveal for Gen 10 would look astronomically different later down the road, presumably in the year of 2026. With the confirmed information that reverse compatibility will exist for these consoles, then it really comes down to what kind of development that they'll handle to have a really polished up, nice looking game, and what they will do to allow players on old systems to also play the game. There's a lot to think about here, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself. We have yet to watch the showcase that will happen later this year to truly see what the potential of this new system can do for just not only this franchise but for other titles moving forward. I believe it's very important that we began this video highlighting the new Switch console because I know that there are groups of people confused as to why this wouldn't be on the new system. Another reason why it was good that they didn't reveal so much is simply because of the time that would be spent making these games. Would you have wanted Generation 10, Gen 5 remakes or whatever, and potentially other announcements all back to back? You'd be practically accepting the disregard towards development time to have these games delivered to us in the best way possible. Which goes against what many of you guys that I know have either spoken to me about or left comments suggesting that they should be able to take the time to polish out their titles even more. Did Game Freak listen after all? This is a pinnacle moment of the franchise. Trust the movement, trust the process. But how about that Legends ZA trailer though? There's a lot I want to talk about, so I'll get started with the Legends ZA material. We can safely confirm that this game takes place in the future, like I originally thought. I can understand that Legends Arceus can set the precedent of what these titles can be based off in terms of time period, but it wasn't the case for this one, which opens up a lot more possibilities in the future. But what I'm surprised to hear about is the shock that came to people regarding how the gameplay looked at first glance. I'm telling you right now, that you have to be on something crazy to think that this looks any worse than Scarlet and Violet. I love the new protagonist designs. They're more vibrant, more expressive. Yes, all of these models have that Gen 9 look to it, but as I mentioned before in a previous video, Pokemon will always look to improve the character models in each game as they release. By the way, I saw the new character Vinny, and did this character not remind you of Jet from Cowboy Bebop? For crying out loud, the CEO is named Jet. I really think they were onto something here. You can't convince me otherwise. Regarding the character models, a prime example is X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. The images you see speak for themselves, and this is exactly the type of comparison I like to make to what we were recently shown. But in the context of the Legends games, are we really making comparisons to Generation 9, or should we really be making the comparisons to Legends Arceus? The same concept I described earlier still applies, but I believe we should be using Arceus as the game reference of choice when making these comparisons. In the trailer, we saw live combat action, and this is a direct continuation of the previous game, but obviously with a twist. It seems your movement is more versatile, and if you looked at the move selection, you can see that your move is actually on a cooldown. Are we taking more of a fighting game approach in these battles, as power points on actual moves are just essentially removed from this game? You can quite literally direct your Pokemon's movements to dodge upcoming attacks. I can only imagine people doing no damage runs on their playthroughs. This is as anime and as Pokken as it can get, and I'm all in for it in trying out this new style of battle mechanics. That alone is just an example that we should be basing our comparison instead of directly looking at Generation 9. The starter selection is actually diabolical. I don't know how else to put it. Totodile is the only popular one compared to Chikorita and even Tepig, but I have an assumption that we will either receive brand new Megas for these Pokemon or an exclusive Calusian look. If Typhlosion received a new form look, then because the other two lacked something, I want to say that it'd be more logical to assume that a type of region form would be coming for them, especially with the added possibility of having brand new typings, which would be likely the case. However, I'm still surprised that 2 Johto starters are opted into the selection as opposed to 1 starter each from a different region that they originated from. Perhaps it was time to show some love to some less popular picks this time around. I'm personally going to go with Totodile, so you can let me know which one you're going with down in the comments. Oh, and apparently you can act like Spider-Man in this game, jumping off from building to building. But let's talk about the new wild Pokemon encounters and how they decided to go about doing it. It's confirmed that we are stuck in this gigantic city of Lumio City, and people were wondering how would they go about handling wild Pokemon in this game. As it was shown, there are going to be new areas dedicated as a zone for you to enter and catch Pokemon accordingly. I'm not exactly sure how many zones there will be, but I assume each of them will undergo a theme of some kind in order to catch a diverse selection of different typings. One thing that stuck out to me the most is the ability to reduce a wild Pokemon's HP to 0 and not actually have it faint. This operates in a way essentially like the move False Swipe, which is a move that always leaves the target with 1 HP. Instead, the Pokemon becomes fatigued and it allows you to seize the moment to throw a Pokeball at it to catch it. Another anime-like moment here from my perspective, you defeat a Pokemon and it's not considered gone but rendered useless. That opens up the perfect opportunity. This is exactly how I'd imagine a real-life approach to this sort of thing. I also think that this is an excellent idea for shiny Pokemon you find as well. Sometimes players accidentally knock out a shiny and they lose their chance at that point to get it. So I'm definitely on board with this. I just hope that they keep the overall shiny sound effect. But a question remains of whether the game gives you the option after causing the wild Pokemon to get fatigued to throw a Pokeball, or you just simply end it. Kind of like an Undertale moment where it lets you decide what you want to do when you win. Otherwise, I would just assume it would automatically do this every single time. But that's pretty much it. You know, AZ's social security finally kicked in and he's relaxing in his new hotel establishment, and the infamous Floette making the appearance of the century. All is good. But you know what else is insanely great? This announcement right here. Pokemon Champions. I can't believe, after years of asking for something remotely similar to Pokemon Battle Revolution and any other stadium-like game, that we would finally get what we've been asking for. It's insane to even see Battle Revolution being shown on the presents. I know the PBR community in my Discord were going crazy over this announcement. Our long-awaited time is finally here. This announcement was enough to make a grown man cry. For years, we have been downplaying the look of the battles in the main series games, but with this brand new announcement, this can potentially be what the future battles can look like and how they will be operated moving forward. I had to refresh my memory. I looked up Pokemon Works. Apparently, it's a newly established joint venture between the Pokemon Company and Ilka that dates back to March of 2024. They are meant to help facilitate and assist in this project, and the previous titles that they've worked on is both Sleep and Home. I like Ilka for their presentable graphics, so I assume we will be in good hands theoretically when it comes down to how the game graphically is going to look like. However, a concern that I have with this announcement, are they not confident in Generation 10 looking appealing in the battle scene, even with the support of the Switch 2? Are they concerned for time yet again? Is there something in its development that shifted them to wanting to make a game like this instead? The biggest missed opportunity was to have Genius Sonority help with these games, the group responsible for Colosseum, Gale of Darkness, and Battle Revolution, to look the way that they did when it came to the battles. This is a concern that I hope I can be at ease with as they reveal things how they're going to be handled, because if we have to sacrifice one of the drive points of a Pokemon game, which are the battles, in order to work on other elements, maybe like story for example, then I guess we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But overall, this is an insane announcement, not because of the potential of the game, but what this could mean for competitive. The game that's going to take over Showdown, they're going to take them to the back alleyway, they're going to shoot them, they're going to do whatever. A barrier to entry is obtaining the Pokemon, getting them ready for battle, IVs, EVs, natures, and what have you, and so much more. Will this game create an easy way for players to access Pokemon and use them to battle others around the globe? Will there be rental Pokemon to make teams out of? Will there be a different battle mode to select from? We saw a Mega and a Terra on the same exact battlefield. Will we shift to this game for VGC formats so that we have a polished up aesthetic feel of the battles, so that we don't have to have that as a focus for the main series games anymore? There are just so many questions being asked here by the community, and if done right, and they don't fumble what makes Pokemon what it is for a lot of people, then we could potentially be seeing the start of a new era in the official competitive scene, and even just for casuals. This announcement got me more hype than Legend ZA personally, but it's an awesome time to be a Pokemon fan. They're not rushing in the background, they're strategically revealing things slowly, they're cooking, and they're developing. I can tell you from now that the 30th year anniversary for Pokemon is going to be an insane one. I truly believe that the Game Freak video I made is going to age well when it came to them listening to this. There is a lot to look forward to, and I can't wait. What are your thoughts on the presents that we got this year? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. I'd love to read them. Be as open as you want regarding these things, as I like to maintain an environment where voices can be heard without judgment and be given the proper respect that it's due. And also feel free to stay connected in joining the Discord server, where we have resources to help allocate for your Pokemon playthroughs, having access to projects, playing Pokemon Battle Revolution online and participating in casual or tournament battles, and also accessing other projects such as this ROM hack that I made for you guys to all play. If all of that sounds cool to you, join up. I'll see you there. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you are new to not miss out on these videos. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.